my name is Annie Penny Pony and welcome back to my channel. You might have heard of a channel named Jubilee. You probably have because you're on the internet, apparently, and they are everywhere. And I like their videos. Some of them are a little bit intense. Some of them is perhaps a little, have a little too high thoughts of themselves. And some of them are just quite of absurd. But I personally like them. I like them, and they have this thing that actually was the first types of videos I saw on their channel that is named Spectrum. So what Spectrum is basically that they take a whole lot of people and they put them in a room and then they ask them questions if they like agree, doesn't agree, strongly disagree, blah blah blah. And they always take like, so they always like have some things in common, and then they get questions about this thing, this one thing that they have in common, and then they're like, oh, do all black people think the same? And spoiler alert, these groups never always thinks the same. And I find one that I can relate to. Do all Gen Zs think the same? I'm a Gen Z. So what I'm gonna do, I am gonna also answer this question. If I agree, if I don't agree. The thing with this is that it's very American. And I think that also like a little bit of what they have gotten, what to say, critique for, that they are very American and they doesn't really think that, they never ever really takes in concern that, oh, perhaps people living in another part of the world doesn't look at it this way. This might not be the only answer. They are very American, and they also, I think they record this in LA, and they pretty much always take people who live in LA, which also doesn't make it even really fair to like Americans in general. So I hear they have gotten a little bit better now with Corona, and they have to take people from like, with like what to say. They have to take people like, they have to do it like, oh my god, what's the name? What's the name of it? During the pandemic, they have this still, but they haven't been able to have everyone in the same room, so they have taken them via Zoom? I don't know, but they have done it anyway, and then they have actually been a little bit more inclusive, and they have been able to take people from different parts of the world, which actually only have proven even more how American they are. But I don't know, I think they also here they are on place and they only have Americans, so we'll see. We will see. As a Gen Z myself, I'm born 2001, September 24, that's my birthday. I'm turning September 24, yeah, okay. So I can probably relate to this and be able to like answer as well. Oh my god, just start. Hope this everyone in here is tested for vaccine. Yeah, but tested for wrong set of me, but tested for vaccine.
In my household, my opinion is not valid, and it will never be valid as long as I live. My parents will yell at me, they'll get mad at me, and we'll get into like such large arguments. It's even gotten to the point of one time where I've gotten into arguments with my parents with like, you're gonna have to move out if you don't like agree with these things.
I don't know, think that is like necessarily, wait, I don't know the context of what he used to say. I don't think that is also fair, but I also think it's something that is how to say, specific for Gen Zs. I think every generation to have ever lived have that kind of conversation with their parents. So I don't think we are special in that matter.
I've sent or received nudes. 3,
wait.
2.
That feels a very easy yes or no question. How do you like agree or strongly agree, strongly or disagree, or like disagree. How do you? That's a yes or no question. Okay, very interested to see what they answer here actually, because that's a yes or no question, not a question about opinions.
Wait. You know? Are we saying nudes? Nudes.
What the?
Oh my god, I thought we were saying news. N-E-W-S. I'm so sorry.
Okay, that girl's stupid.
Because
She's sweet but stupid.
I mean, it is like the form of validation now. Like sending nudes is love, but
This makes me just want to jump over it because I feel like I'm in the wrong area. You know, we're gonna go here.
But is there a yes or no question? Not, they did not question about what you. They didn't ask. Sorry, but they said this the wrong way. They could have asked, is it okay? Is it good to send or receive nude pictures? This question, if I remember, was, have you? Not a question about what you feel about it. It is a question about, have you? A yes or no question. What? Am I the only one here who's just like, what the hell are they saying? Like, if you have it, then you have. What does your opinion about it matter at that point?
Everyone has like beauty in them, so it's important to love your body.
Okay, I'm gonna say something a little controversial here, but I have to, sorry. Here's the thing. Not everyone looks good. Not everyone has a beautiful body. Some people are bad as ugly. And here's the thing. That have always existed. Not everyone is beautiful in their own way. They could still be a good person. They could be like very nice. They can be like the next Malala. I don't know. But that doesn't actually have anything to do with their physically appearance. You can. People nowadays are very much like, oh, you're a good person, then you also have to be beautiful. But those two, being a good person and being beautiful, doesn't actually go hand in hand. It's the same with people like people who in general are not like it, and people are like, oh, they are so ugly. They could be goddamn the most beautiful people in the world, but because of the fact that people don't like them for their personality, they're like, no, this person are ugly. Such a weird concept, actually.
Want what you got, boo. That validation needs to come from within, not from other people. Like,
Kill me. Okay, I'm gonna answer this. Here's the thing, I didn't know how I wanted to do this first, if I wanted to like listen to what they have to say, or then answer, or say my thing, and then listen to them. I'm gonna, for now on, say my thing, and then listen to what they have to say. But I did it in the wrong order here, but I'm gonna answer this very simple yes or no question with a yes or a no, and not my opinions about it. Have I sent or received nudes? Answer, yes. Deal with it. What's next question? Skinny jeans are out of style. That was at least not a yes or no question. I say no! They are very much in style. I love them. I always succeed in breaking them or ripping them or anything like that, but in those good moments when they are actually, still put together, in those few wonderful moments when they're still put together, I love them. They are not out of fashion yet. Fight me! Also, is that really an important question to discuss? I like other kinds of pants as well.
There's so much space. You don't have to worry about it like bunching up and stuff. Like, I don't know why.
I can see how it's more practical for guys, actually.
I think is generational politics that are trying to like.
No, it's not politics. It's fashion.
Millennials, please stop making songs about it. It's not that deep.
Okay, that one I can agree on. But okay, here's the thing. This might be cultural stuff, friends. But I have noticed this. In America, there was this time where they always wear these extremely skinny jeans. And now they have kind of stopped. I can tell you that at least in Europe, I can talk for entire Europe, but the part of Europe that I live in, they are still very much in fashion. So yes, they might be out of fashion in USA, perhaps Canada. I don't freaking know. I don't really care either. But they're not out of fashion everywhere. Just want to put it out there. Next thing though, is this really a seriously topic that needs to be discussed? Is it though? Is it? Once again, I feel like that is a yes or no question. what actually, this one is probably the worst question I have heard so far in any Jubal episode. Okay, do I get my news from YouTube? Celebrity news, yes, but other news, world politics. Are you stupid? No, I don't get my world news, politics, how it going on in like with climate change, what happening in Middle East. Like, I don't go into YouTube and check that. Sorry if you do that. You stupid. Okay, traditional media, as they called traditional media. This ones. They like them or not, but they exist for a reason. What kind of idiot get their world news from YouTube? Sorry, but that is just straight up stupid. But also, once again, it's a yes or no question. Oh, thank God they took this disagree.
Because I try New York Times, even Fox and stuff, just so that I get a perspective from everyone.
Yes, that's my girl.
But I don't click the video and like deliberately watch it until I've known the facts.
The ability of
yes, girl.
From people who aren't political pundits is really valuable. And
okay, here's the thing. This thing about people talking about their political views on the internet, even though they know nothing about the political. I see this so much, and actually, I don't. Everyone have right. Everyone has right to have a political opinion, and saying it on the internet, absolutely. Do you? But I think with the internet though is that they actually many times discussed, when they discuss politics, they doesn't even really discuss politics. They discussing made up politics that only exist on the internet, that is not an issue out in the real world. And even when they do discuss actually issues, it's very, very easy to get things wrong. Like, I mean, personally, I wouldn't like to sit here and say, like, oh, you know, well, but the war in the Middle East works this and this and this way, and I think this and this, and you now also should think this and this and this. I wouldn't like to do that. And I think it's interesting that so many people actually do feel comfortable doing that. This idea, oh, that is valuable to hear other people's. But to a certain point, yes, it's definitely valuable to hear different opinions, but sometimes even opinions should be grounded in facts. Because otherwise we have these stupid YouTube dramas. We all know which ones. So, yeah, let's continue.
It's not. And like, as social media continues to grow, I feel like we're just gonna keep becoming more literate.
And I feel like we should be taught this in schools. We're a whole new
era. Yes.
Like, we grew up with like
definitely.
And
she was saying the wrong stuff, and then she was like, you know, the vaccine, those microchips, and I was like, Mom.
I think controlling a lot of stuff without, you know, democratic elections and without any accountability. And it makes sense that people would feel like, you know...
No, being afraid of a vaccine makes zero sense. And it have nothing to do with people in power or with money. End of discussion. Being afraid of a vaccine because they think there are microchips in it is straight up stupid or whatever. And it actually have nothing to do with the people in power. That is something stupid people say to make themselves feel less stupid. My parents and I agree on politically and socially issues. I was very close to say stuff there instead of issues. Same thing. Do we? Yes and no, I would say. Yes and no. I think we have like the same values. My mother and I. I think I would say that we're on the same, but like other things like slighter, like tinier things, doesn't have to be tinier, but it can be more specific things, so to say. There is more likely that we disagree on. We disagree on a lot of political stuff. We also agree on very much, I would say. So I would say it's 50-50. We agree and disagree. Yeah. I mean, you can always like change stuff, but I feel like you will always have some slight part of your parents' opinion, political opinions, regardless, just because you are raised by those people. So it's very hard to like completely get away from those opinions. Some people have done it, so I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's very hard, and I think that you always have something little that you can always agree on. Okay, we'll see what they say.
being a wreck, but like whenever it's a wreck, we come back and we're like, I see your point, but here's what I think and here's why, loaded with facts, not just like, oh, I think this because this and this and this X and X and said. No, it's because this is a percentage, this is a statistic that I'm pointing out.
That girl, don't know her name, I like her. So far she seems like the only like reasonable one. Maybe not the only one, but she seems reasonable. I like her.
I would like to have a disclaimer from my mom and dad. What's coming out of my mouth is coming out through love. Also, if you're watching this, please stop watching. I don't want to be quiet about the things, and I want to speak up and share my opinion, but when it comes to that, my parents will yell at me, they'll get mad at me, and we'll get into like such large arguments. It's even...
This was what I showed in the beginning, and now I have the content, so here's the thing. Yes, some people definitely have this problems, absolutely, things, ugh. I mean, as I said, me and my mother, we agree on like 50-50, and I think it's difficult enough with those 50% that we do not agree on, so this seems very complicated. But, once again, what I want to say is like, the generation question here. This have been a thing for like every single generation that have ever lived. Every generation have always had their own politically opinions and views. It's nothing new. It's not a Gen Z thing. It's just a generation swifting thing. Have always happened. Will always continuing happen. I mean, I don't know if I ever gonna have children. Perhaps not. But let's say I do. Let's say for the sake of this video, I do have children in the future. I think I have good, valuable opinions right now. They might change, I don't know. But one thing I know for certain is that my children are not gonna have the exact same opinions as I. And I might think they are stupid as rocks. They might think I'm stupid as a rock. Who knows? But that's just the way it goes. And I think that's something every generation never really fully understand. Like, you do not have all the answers. No one has all the answers. You doesn't, your parents doesn't, your grandparents doesn't. It's just about like coming to a point where you can kind of like find a middle ground. Something like that.
I have felt depressed. 3.
I'm just starting to realize that every single one of these questions you could take as a yes or no question. That's one we're not one we're gonna do though. Have I felt depression? Yes. Yes. Goddamn yes. Personally, never like anything like really deep. Never needed like medicine or anything like that for that. But yes, I have definitely been depressed from time to times. And I think, I mean, everyone has at one point. Like, it's quite normal. People act like it's such a like mind-blowing thing that people can be depressed, but here's the thing, like every single person has at one point or another been more or less depressed in their life, so it's not that big of a thing. I know though that the generation Gen Zs, how do I do this thing? That they are said to be like the most depressed generation to have ever lived. And I personally, I think we're never gonna know that for certain. I think what we could say is that they are definitely the generation that have they have been like how to say, the biggest, that have been a topic, that they have been a real thing, like, oh, you can be depressed, you can be diagnosed with depression, you can get medicines for it. I'm not gonna sit here in like my first world country feeling a little bit low because like one of my friends doesn't want to speak to me. I don't want to sit here and say that that is the same thing as those who like lived through the world wars. I don't want to sit here and say that it's the same thing as people who starved to death for like 200 years ago. I don't think that's fair, and that's not to take away from people who are depressed today, but I don't know. It's a hard topic, but so like I said, this idea that we are the most depressed generation that ever exists, I think if you start to look very deep into that, the answer is not that easy. Like, once again, I don't think this generation, Gen Zs, were more depressed than the people who lived during the World Wars. I have a very hard time seeing that. And if that's true, then it's something seriously wrong with this generation, to be honest.
1, go.
Yeah, see, as I said, everyone has at one point or another been depressed. It's normal.
Points where
But especially with our generation, what ends up happening is that some small thing happens and we're depressed. The term is just used loosely. When you say comments like, but I'm really glad that people are like talking about it now and that we can all like bond over it, I'm truly thinking that like the pressure that's put on our generation with social media is what like causes it. But yeah, I'm really glad that like people talk about it so we have resources and stuff.
I like what she said there in the end, just that yes, it is a lot on our generation, but that it also is that it's now talked about. Because like many times, as I said before, like many times people act like this with depression is like a new problem. It isn't. Every generation has more or less felt depression. It's a very human, normal thing to feel. It's not weird or odd in any way. What it is though is that it starts to be talked about. And I remember when I was young, that was when I was like, I'm still young. You're still young, Annie. When I was a kid, like that was nothing you talked about. That was, I remember, like I can remember when it started to be a thing. It still is starting to be a thing. And so to say that, okay, but we are like the most depressed generation, I don't know, I don't think it's so easy, as I said, but I think what is that we are the generation that you see it first of all. Because once again, those who lived during the world wars, of course they were depressed, but what did you do? Well, you sucked it up, because that was the only option. You sucked it up or you died. And our generation, thankfully, doesn't have to do that. They doesn't have to just suck it up or die. They are actually help to get now, but they haven't always been, which is a very good thing that it's changing. Yeah. I also think that she talked about this, like social media, and yes, definitely social media. I probably 100% think is a reason to it, but I also hear like more scientifically things about this, and that it's actually, well, social media is a part of it, but it's actually more of the fact that we get so extremely much more information now. Like our generation, there have never been a generation earlier that have gotten so much information and so fast and so easy, and the human brain is not made to be able to cope with all of that. Like the original human, the one that like hunt with sticks and all of that, they wasn't really made to know what kind of things happen on the other side of the world. They were made to know what happened in like that little area that they lived in. And we certainly know like everything but everything. We know everything about everything that's happening around the world, and it was not meant to be that way. And that is actually what is happening, that our brain is pretty much just closing down because we can't handle all that information, and that is what depression comes from. Social media is definitely a part of that, but it's not everything. It's a big part, but not everything. And I completely truly believe that that is like the biggest reason to why this generation are so depressed. I 100% believe that that is the answer. That we know too much. It's depressing, all the things that we know and how easy we can get to know it. Because the facts that we get to know are not always directly happy. Let's move over.
I am optimistic about the future.
This one will be interesting to see. When I think about my own future, yes, I'm like, yeah, sure, I will get my life together sometime. Positivity. But when I think about, like, you know, global warming, that is what worries me. I don't worry so much about war, because, like, how to say it, like, war have always existed, and humanity has one way or another always get themselves out of it eventually. But global warming, they have never stand in front of something like that before, and we don't know if we're gonna make it or not, and that worries me. That is probably, yeah, that I don't know if I'll look super. I think the future will be like great, because like we don't know what's happening with the climate. But at the same time, yes, we don't know. It can go all to hell. Could. Or we can actually get our shit together and fix the issue. Many things are already getting better. Many things is getting worse at the same time. So it's quite hard to actually tell which way it's gonna go to. So it's pretty much just, you know, do your best. Be a part of the good side, the right part of history. And then just wait and see what's happened, really. That's quite depressing. That's really depressing. That's something they should have discussed the first question, huh? You in yellow dress, you have to pick a side.
Assume that things can't be fixed because in the past they just never were. I don't know. I think I'm very optimistic.
Depending on what they mean will be fixed, I actually think that is a little bit a matter of like actually where you live. I can see that in some countries they might think that, oh, but like I can see that like if you live in USA, I can understand that like, oh, the race problem, they can think like, oh, this will never be fixed. Many other countries do not have those problems and are not really that worried over that will not be fixed because it's pretty already very fixed. If we have global warming, I think it's the same with there, like depending on like how your government is themselves feeling throughout that question, probably that will also affect you and how you think. I think at least in Sweden, we're quite realistic about it. We're not like, oh, everything's gonna be fixed, but we're also not like, oh, everything's gonna go to hell. Yeah. So I think that depends a little bit on where you live. Everything depends on where you live, so.
We can work on it and fix it, and I think that this generation in particular is really good at that. Like, Gen Z is crazy. Like, we get things done. The impact we've had with, like, TikTok even, like, yeah.
I don't know if I agree that TikTok is the best example, but okay.
On a more societal point of view, I feel very good that like change will occur whether we like it or not.
Oh, they have this music that's gonna end now.
Officially a wrap. Great job, you guys.
Whoa. Okay, end this. End this. Hell, no, I was kidding. I'm kidding. They were nice. They were cute. They were sweet. Have I ended? Have I stopped? So. Yeah, this was my opinion about it. Once again, as I say, there were many questions I feel like this is not actually a matter about opinions, or more just facts, or yeah, no, yes or no. Like the first question, have you sent nudes? Or received? How is that a question about opinion? Also, once again, is that something that needs to be heavily discussed? Are skinny jeans something that needs to be heavily discussed? I don't know. They're very, like, variation about the questions they have in Jubilee, and that's at least some things we can all agree on. It's very much when it goes from like skinny jeans to are we all gonna die soon? It's swift fast. But thank you so much for having watched this video. If you happen to like it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel so you can check out next video who comes up, and see you next time. Bye.